Software found a worker wasn't working as much as she said. Now she must repay her wages. Now, can we do this to the higher ups too, then? I wonder. And of course, this is Canada, by the way. A Canadian accountant has been ordered to repay her employer for quote unquote time theft after the company's tracking software determined she was performing personal tasks while she claimed to be working. The court ruling marks, and this is a court thing. That's why it's a problem. It marks one of the first instances where such technology has been used to order a worker to repay an employer for slacking off on the job. This is not going to do you guys any favors in fixing your economy, man. No, Carly Bess, an employee of Vancouver Island accounting firm Reach CPA, initially claimed she was wrongfully dismissed and that her employer owed her $5,000 in unpaid wages and severance pay. Bess's employer said it terminated her because she engaged in time theft and filed a countersuit seeking just over $2,600 in wages. Man, we're talking about like peanuts at this point. Like if she was an accountant, she was probably making that much a month, right? So depending on how long she worked there, how much time was she quote unquote stealing? Like 15 minutes a day? Now, paid her while she allegedly wasn't working as well as part of an advance she received before employment began. Uh-oh. The court decision comes as more companies install spying software on employees' on workers' computers to detect keystrokes and clicks to ensure they focus on work-related tasks while doing their jobs remotely. Some critics say this kind of surveillance amounts to spying and infringes on employees' basic rights. The software you're going to need to get around this is going to have to get creative if they're tracking clicks too. Yeah, because previously it was enough just to keep the mouse moving so you don't go into away mode. Yeah, this might get more difficult. So in October of last year, National Labor Relations Board expressed concern over employers' growing electronic surveillance of workers and its potential to intrude on privacy rights. NLRB General Counsel Jennifer Abruzzo announced their intention to protect employees to the greatest extent possible from intrusive or abusive electronic monitoring and automated management practices that would have a tendency to interfere with Section 7 rights. Section 7 protects a worker's ability to keep certain activity confidential from their employer. Well, I guess they could probably get around this if they gave you a work computer. Like in which case, if you're doing personal tasks on your work computer, you kind of deserve what you get at that point. Like you're always supposed to keep it separate. Like, I make sure of that. I don't do any personal stuff on my work computer, and I don't do any work on my personal computer because I want to avoid issues like this. So Bess said that in February of current year -1, she initiated meetings with the manager to improve her productivity. Oh, yep, there we go. She was probably on a performance improvement plan. Yeah, she was on the PIP. Her employer then installed time tracking software called TimeCamp on her work-issued laptop. Oh. Now, you see, if your employer installs the software on your computer because you're already underperforming, again, you have this coming. Like if you're able to finish 8 hours of worth of work in 2 hours and you keep them happy, you wouldn't have to worry about this. So a month later, Reach said it found that Bess was behind schedule on her work. The company also noticed a discrepancy between the time tracking software's record of her activity and how she manually recorded her time. Between February 22nd and March 25th, the firm said Bess had logged nearly 51 hours on her timesheets during which she did not engage in any work-related tasks based on the tracking software's log. Now, this right here, I can see so many problems with, man. Like me personally, sometimes I work my regular 9 to 5. I'm clocked in from 9 to 5, but I do very little work because I'm being constantly interrupted. So I just like, whatever. I don't do any work related stuff. And then I clock out at 5 so I can say I did my 8 hours and log off. And then I set myself to away. And then I actually do my day's worth of work when no one's fucking bothering me. I guess I wouldn't be able to do that anymore, huh? Wow, that would kill my productivity. Screen capture videos recorded by TimeCap ultimately proved she engaged in time theft, according to the Civil Resolution Tribunal, Canada's first online court. The videos show which documents a user opens and for how long they interact with them, while the software distinguishes between work and non-work activities, such as streaming video. Why would you be doing that on your work computer? It also classifies such activities as personal versus work activity. Bess claimed that she'd printed the documents in question, was working off the hard copies, but never communicated this to Reach. Her employer said her printing activity was limited and that she could not have printed a large volume of documents required to do her work. But the court dismissed her claim and ordered her to repay Reach $1,506.34 based on her salary. She kind of did this to herself. Like she was already falling behind. She was already on a performance improvement plan. I think she knew this spyware was on her computer, but she did this anyway. Yeah, I mean, I'm inclined to say this woman did this to herself. Like, if this was someone who was meeting all her requirements but just needed 2 out of 8 hours of the day to do it, then I'd still call this kind of bullshit. But sounds like this person was a real winner from the start. As mistakes were made, not gonna pretty shitty they can take you to court on this. Well, that was also her fault too. She sued her employer first after they fired her for this and demanded that they pay her more money. So their employer retaliated. Now, don't get me wrong. I still think it's bullshit that they could actually use this in court. But in this specific case, like, this woman did this to herself. She could have avoided all of this by not filing a frivolous lawsuit against her employer. Like, her employer just retaliated against her. Yeah, this was the woman moment of the week. Exactly. I mean, shit, if I was in her position and I was stealing all this time and I knew they knew I was stealing all this time and they just fired me, I'd consider that a blessing.